Welcome back to Creepycipy. This story is the most unsettling experience of my life, and my paranoia is the only thing that saved us. It occurred during the spring break of my junior year of college. My ex-girlfriend, Anna, had a popular friend named Lena who was invited via text by an acquaintance to a massive multi-school lake house trip in the remote Ozarks. I wasn't a party person, but Anna desperately wanted to go. So, along with Lena and her boyfriend Colby, we packed into Colby's SUV and drove down the isolated lake roads. We arrived at a breathtaking modern waterfront estate. The first red flag was the crowd. Lena said there would be 15 people, but the lot was packed with over 25 cars. Colby had to park our SUV far down the dark road, completely out of sight. At the front door, a clean-cut host welcomed us with a strange, rehearsed speech. He blocked the doorway and demanded everyone's car keys, claiming it was a mandatory liability precaution to prevent drunk driving. Colby handed his over, and the host tossed them into a massive glass bowl overflowing with key rings. Inside, the lounge was packed with 40 students. But the moment we entered, Lena froze. She didn't recognize a single face. The girl who invited her was nowhere to be found. As the night went on, I noticed the host wasn't drinking. He paced the room, silently observing everyone and writing notes on a clipboard. Even stranger, after talking to guests, I realized the house was just full of small, isolated groups of strangers from different states who didn't know anyone else. I told Anna it felt like an artificial trap, but she laughed it off. The next morning, the key bowl was completely gone from the foyer. A few hours later, I watched a young couple pack their bags, announce a family emergency, and drive away in their dark sedan. But that night, during a bonfire by the lake, my stomach dropped. Sitting in the shadows was that exact same couple. I checked the driveway. Their car was gone, yet they were physically back at the party at dawn. I walked down the isolated road to investigate. A quarter mile away, hidden behind an abandoned maintenance shed under a camouflage tarp, was the couple's dark sedan. They hadn't left. They had staged a fake departure, hidden their car, and returned on foot. This entire trip was a staged trap, and our escape vehicles were being systematically confiscated. I confronted the couple by the dock in their faces. Turned white. My questions caused a sudden silence, and the cold eyes of multiple strangers locked onto me. Anna finally believed me when she noticed other guests repeating identical, scripted backstories. The next morning, we tried to leave, but Colby and Lena initially refused to believe the conspiracy. When we went to the kitchen, the atmosphere had curdled. Dozens of total strangers were glaring at me with dead hostility. They knew I was asking questions. I walked straight to the host and demanded our keys. He maintained a robotic smile, trying to force us to stay for a boat party. I stepped closer and shouted, "I need the keys, now." The music cut. At least 30 people stopped moving and stared directly at me. The host's smile vanished into a hollow, dead-eyed glare. A girl nearby muttered, "That's not a good idea." Colby and Lena looked horrified. After a tense silence, the host Colby muttered, "Follow me." He aggressively banned Anna from coming along. I followed him to a locked back room filled with rows of confiscated keys. Without asking what Colby's car looked like, he actually grabbed our specific keys on the first try. He handed them over and whispered, "You're making a mistake." We snatched the keys, packed, and fled within 10 minutes. As we sped down the driveway, I looked back. Standing in a silent line on the deck were a dozen guests, shoulder to shoulder, intensely watching us disappear into the trees. 2 weeks later, Lena located the friend who had supposedly texted her the invitation. It turned out the girl's phone had been stolen 2 weeks before spring break. A total stranger had used her identity to lure isolated groups of students to that remote house. We couldn't go to the police because no physical crime had technically occurred yet. But I know with absolute certainty, if we had stayed for just one more night, we would have faced a consequence I don't even dare to imagine. Stay safe and always trust your instincts.